Hi, I'm Isabella and I'm 17 years old. When I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness that will last me for the rest of my life. I had done nothing to deserve this illness, nothing I could have done to prevent this illness, it just happened. All I could think about was what were people going to think, what was I going to do, how was I going to manage living with this for the rest of my life. I was extremely dehydrated and I got only false answers. It wasn't until I was in the back of an ambulance being rushed to the hospital that I had realized I had type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is a genetically caused autoimmune disorder in which the pancreas stops producing insulin, a hormone needed to lower blood sugar. As well as insulin, the body's glucose is no longer distributed properly either, which causes the low blood sugars. The pancreas not working impacts most aspects of the body since it's a key part of the endocrine system. If you've ever eaten a carb-heavy meal, maybe a bunch of pizza, you feel pretty drowsy afterwards. That is your sugar spiking. Or another could be after exercising for a long period of time, your body feels weak and almost light. That is when your sugar is low. The difference is, mine and other diabetics will not adjust on its own. Every meal I eat, I take a shot, and every low I experience, I quickly need to find something with fast-acting carbs. In addition, when a low for me is not treated, I face severe health consequences. Same with long period highs. The thing with type 1 diabetes is it is not what people think. It is not caused by unhealthy habits or being overweight. In fact, type 1 diabetes plagues many teenagers and young children. Before I was diagnosed, I'd been given many false answers that I was just dehydrated. Nobody ever thought to test me for diabetes. It wasn't until one day after I had lost 20 pounds in the span of a week, I had no energy, I couldn't eat, and my vision was leaving me, that my mom took me to the emergency room. Here I was told my life was changing, that now I had to look closely at what I was eating, make sure I was exercising enough, and always taking my shots. My once perfect vision was gone, and shortly after my diagnosis, my beautiful thick hair fell out until it was just thin straw remaining. For a self-conscious teenage girl, losing all your hair, having to get glasses, wearing a patch at all times, and being known as the girl with diabetes feels like the end of the world. I now had to watch everything I did with consideration of how my sugar would be affected. My sugar at diagnosis was 781 milligrams, and for point of reference, target range for diabetics is 70 to 150 milligrams. Being told only 13 years old, had I not come in when I did, my chances of waking up the next morning were slim. That was one of the most horrifying days of my life, and I felt that my illness soon began to define me, that numbers and shots were all I was. People would torment me relentlessly for it, and I even had teachers comment on how you shouldn't be eating that and wanting to doctor me. 3 years later, I have found that this is not an uncommon experience for other diabetics such as myself. I no longer feel like all I am is diabetes, but what I have learned is how diabetes is not made aware enough to other people. November is Diabetes Awareness Month, and what my mission is to educate everybody to understand that diabetes is not a joke. It is a real struggle that we face every single day of our lives, not knowing when or if it will ever end. Whether it is as a teacher with diabetic students, or a relative, or even as a friend, become aware of what your peers are dealing with, because it is not always what it looks like on the surface. Overall, and most importantly, nobody who shares this illness is alone. Diabetes many days can feel hopeless and like nothing will ever be better. But the important thing to remember is there are other people that struggle with this. And my goal is that by educating the community on type 1 diabetes, we can remove the stigma that faces us.